Hi everybody and welcome back to Wheelie Tropicals. It's been a bit of a while now since I posted a video. Basically I had no ideas of what to film, and for once in my life my wife was quite glad. I'd actually run out of things to say, which came as a shock even to my wife. So today on this glorious day I thought I'm going to show you the beasts that I've got in the garden. So things like the 6-foot tree fern. I'm going to show you the big Musa basjoo and things that I've got, and show you how the Gunnera and things have gone. Additionally to that, I have created another border in the garden. It's only a smaller section, but I'll show you what I've kind of done with there. As I always say, it's a tropical inspired garden. I'm from Wheelie Castle in Birmingham, so a kind of Rubicon mango is tropical where I come from. So whether these things tick the actual true tropical box or not is irrelevant to me. These are things that you would not traditionally find in my area, so the things that I deem as being tropical. I have been accused of being a plant collector in the past, and I've definitely been called worse things. The plant collection is not going to stop. I'm not one of those that wants a garden full of 6 or 7 plants. I want to collect as many weird and wonderful plants as I am going. So it's not one of those ones where it's Balinese or X, Y, and Z. It's literally just I've bought things that I've liked the look of and I've tried to throw them into my garden. I'm not a gardener by trade, so the garden's probably full of mistakes, but it's things that I'm quite happy with and I'll sit in the patio. So if it's your bag as well, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. But without further waffle, let me show you what we're working with. So first things first, this is the first year I've had that. It's the Dixonia Antarctica tree fern. Thanks to Rich over at Richard's UK Tropical Garden for giving me all the advice to get that thing through winter, because when they first arrive, it's a really expensive log. I've been calling it Chewbacca's leg for a long time. It's a big furry thing, and it came with all the top kind of cut off. So for a long time, you're struggling to think, why have I paid so much money? But now it's shooting, it's looking glorious. I'm hoping over the years when those things flush and the things fall down, it's going to look a little bit more full over the year. And I'm looking to see how that thing actually goes on. During a heat wave though, you'd be surprised at how quickly those things dry out with the roots being on the outside. So it's definitely worthwhile this time of year soaking it a couple of times during that period of time. Without further waffle, let me show you the Musa basjoo. So over in this tropical section, I've got the Musa basjoo up there. It's got to be, I'd say, around about 10 foot tall now. It's one that I've recently moved from the other side of the garden, which it looked wicked now from the patio area, but it didn't feel so great when I was dragging it across the garden. The root ball on it was significant. I'd say at least 3 foot down. So just the weight of that alone with the plants on it as well means I had to get a strap to drag it across the garden. But you can't beat the paddles of those things. It's one of those plants as well that everybody that comes to the garden always asks what that is, and it's something that I wouldn't really be without. It's one of my favourite plants in the garden. So like I say, it's got to be pushing 10 or 12 feet tall now, but like I say, in the wind, that thing's hard to beat. On to the next beast. Next up is the Gunnera. So this thing looks absolutely beautiful. The issue with this one is it's really sharp underneath. All of the stems are completely sharp as well. Like a lot of people, I bought this as Gunnera manicata, but it's actually turned out to be in Tinctoria. I had one of specialists on another group identify it based on the flower spike on there. But the thing is a beast. I'm pretty happy with it, and bearing in mind it's grown in a pot, it's actually probably the better one for the size of the space that I've got anyway. So yeah, that thing is a real funny plant, because if it doesn't get enough water in the day, it completely flops. So you come out and it's all over the floor. Give it a water, and normally within about 4 hours, 6 hours, the thing's completely back upright again. So I am going to try and film on time lapse, because it's surprising how quickly the thing recovers. These things are used to growing along kind of like riverways and things, so I'm sure they're used to getting monstrous amounts of water. And then the heat wave, being in a pot and being that size, it quickly gets through that. I do feed that an awful lot, and it doesn't ever seem to have any problems with having too much nutrients in it. But I thought I'd show you that beast as well, in case it's something that you're looking at. It hasn't always got to be the manicata. The Tinctoria one is absolutely fine for this size of garden as well. So over in this section here, this is one of my parts where I'm going to do the jungle clearing, is on the back of that. But I'm just sorting out my finances so I can continue with that project. But at the back, it's got the Dixonia Antarctica tree fern. To the left-hand side is the Fatsia japonica. On the floor, what we've got, if I zoom in, on the left-hand side on the bottom frame there is Viburnum davidii, which is a brilliant hardy evergreen plant. In front of that, the purple looking plant is Persicaria red dragon. To the right of that is Persicaria purple fantasy. And for the first year the Fatsia polycarpa green fingers is actually moving properly. It's put on a lot of stem growth now, and it's brilliant. If I zoom back out, it's hopefully going to create a bit of a nice canopy in this particular area. On the right hand side, I've got one of my favourite plants, which is Pennisetum, I think it's latifolia, on the very right edge, and that thing has nice kind of like purpley canes coming up with it. Kind of grows similar to bamboo in the sense of how strong the actual grass is on there, and again it's another great bit of movement for the garden. And then the Trachycarpus fortunei on the right. If we move a little bit in, hopefully the wind's not coming through. I have got a loquat in that area, and hopefully that's going to again create a bit of a canopy in there. Again, it might be in the wrong area, but I'm going to give it a whirl. I've got a Rhododendron on the right hand side, which is the first year it's actually looks semi-decent as well, and it's kind of go along theme as well. That one's a Miscanthus, I think it's called Cosmopolitan, and again kind of running in a similar theme. So all the plants in this particular area, mainly green and purple, and then I've got the two kind of grasses and kind of reed on the right hand side that's a bit green and white. But that's probably one of the better borders that I've created for, again, another monster, which is this Miscanthus giganteus, which will be eating the fence very, very shortly. Again, I've spread that throughout the garden to try and create a bit more of that kind of feather-like tropical vibe through the garden. I've also added a lot of it at the front of the borders as well. So this has been the new project area. So I've got, I mentioned it in the past, another monster, which is the Formium tenax. Beautiful, but takes up a mad amount of space. In front of that, I've just planted a cordyline australis, which you can see on the bottom right. Next to that is a canna Musa, which again gets quite big. I've not had that properly in the ground before, so I'm looking forward to seeing how big that one grows. In the middle of the frame there is Xanthodecia, and then on the left, just poking out now, is one of the hedechiums. I think it's Helen Dillon. It was sold to me as Stephen, but it's thankfully one of the experts in the comments said that it was Helen Dillon, and when I looked at it, it definitely is. Down to kind of continue the theme, I've got another canna, which is one of the red ones. I'm not sure if it's Smoky Flame, and then I've got black coral, colocasia, which I did put these out quite early, and I've got away with any damage. Yeah, so I took some advice from the group of people that commented, and I've actually added now some of the things to hang over the edge. So like the cordyline will grow over the edge, these hedechiums will grow over the edge, and if you look at the border now, I've got a new Trachycarpus, which is a smaller one in the middle there, again should hang over the edge. And I've added, if we walk it down a little bit, there's some of the Miscanthus giganteus down there as well, and I'm going to look at adding a little bit more so it does add that tropical vibe. I've used quite a lot of the same plants in the garden, i.e. the Persicaria. I've got two loquats, a lot of banana plants and things, which I think help kind of naturalize the garden a little bit. But as I said before, there's quite a lot of plants in this garden, which is exactly what I wanted from the garden. I didn't want a small amount of plants over and over again. I've just used a couple of them to repeat. So on the left hand side, I have got the Montbelliardi banana, which is the red one on the bottom left. Again, that's supposed to be a bit of a monster. The two agaves in the front, the one on the middle is Agave mediopicta, the left is variegata, and on the right hand side is Spanish dagger. They're all looking quite nice. I might actually get rid of those, I might sell those shortly. I was going to do a bit of a wet and dry area and feature those in there, but I'm not 100% sure at the moment. I've got the Yucca rostrata, which absolutely looks glorious, and then a whole host of different bamboos, including Berinda, which is the blue bamboo in the middle there. It hasn't actually got any coloration on it yet, and the canes are pretty small. And then there's one on the far right, which is the yellow bamboo, but that looks absolutely fantastic as well. Typical UK weather. I've had to literally just leg it from my tropical garden tour, because this is now what we're dealing with. Hopefully it's not coming through the camera. I got about 3 or 4 plants around, and this is the reality of the UK, because we film all of our garden tours on the glorious days. I bet people think it's an absolute tropical paradise all the time. But I got 4 plants around before it absolutely chucked it down. Literally the grass is absolutely soaking wet now. So with me with my slides on, And this t-shirt, thankfully I managed to duck it. I heard it go before it actually went, so I'm gonna hang around for a moment, let this clear, and then go on, because ain't nobody want to see me during a wet t-shirt competition. So we'll give it a couple of seconds and let this calm down, and then I'll crack on. What I'm going to do is pivots, and I'm going to talk about the kind of shade loving plants and things that can tolerate that whilst the rain is still going on. Thankfully this time of year these things do seem to come and go really quickly, so it's not like I'm going to be sat here for absolutely ages anyway. But whilst I'm here, I'll talk about the things that are kind of quite happy underneath this pergola. There's an awful lot of plants behind me that are brilliant for the wildlife and things like that, and as well just create that kind of immersion for me while I'm sat in the garden. So I'll spin the camera around so we can have a quick look at that. Right, so on this side here we've got the plant that I've always said is one that the bees absolutely love, and as you can see, if I leave that on there, the bees will be popping to that even though it's absolutely pouring down. This one's called enthusiast, and this one's called strawberry fields. It's got absolutely fantastic, I actually quite like the foliage as well, kind of a little bit maybe salvia kind of looking, but the flowers on it are fantastic. I'll see if I can overlay on it, but even as it's raining now, the bees are still going at that. So one of the questions you get quite often is when you have a tropical garden, especially if it's a lot of foliage and stuff, is it any good for the wildlife? But I do have an awful lot of flowering plants in there that are good for the pollinators. So there's a prime example. I've got 3 of those in the garden. I also do think that looks really, really tropical as well. The fancier spider's web in the middle there has never looked so good. It looks proper ghostly at the moment. They do come out that kind of speckled colour and then gradually kind of add a bit more green to the flush, but that's an absolute stunner. At the back there, popping through, is the Miscanthus giganteus. The top left, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if it's like one of those Euronymous or something like that. I'm really not sure. I bought that very early on and just threw it in the ground, but quite happy with that, providing some cover as well. There is a little palm tree that's in the middle there, and again that gets full shade, and he's quite happy with that one. Don't remember exactly which palm tree that one is, but it's quite happy in there. It looks very, very green, which is surprising because of how much shade that it gets. In front of that I've got some of the cannas, one that start with a T. They're one of the biggest ones. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name. Over in the corner, if you excuse the washing area, I've got an absolutely massive Monstera deliciosa over there, which I think was about a 40-year-old plant for somebody I adopted it from that was moving to Spain. So you can see if I give it a little bit of a pan, hopefully I don't pan it too quickly and make anyone feel sick. When you're sat in the patio area, now that John Phillips euphorbia is kicking out, one with all the yellow flowers on it, it kind of creates that bit of a mystery now. So I added the palm tree on the left halfway down, and I've added a little bit of a border down there as well now, just to create a little bit of mystery. I am gonna look at adding something to the middle of the lawn, maybe a massive statement plant where I have to walk left and go down the greenhouse and right to go to like the pond and the little storage area, which thankfully one of the subscribers did mention on the last video, which was one of my ideas as well. So it's always good when someone can kind of vouch for your idea as well. So yeah, I gotta try and think of what I could put there. Maybe some hardy and evergreen, but I want something that's decent sized as well, and maybe create like some stone, like a circle feature or something with maybe even multiple things planted in it as well. One of the other plants that I've had for a while that's never really done anything is this globosa that's on the floor. I thought it had gone, but it has very, very interesting little flowers on it. I thought it was gone because I thought the euphorbia had just completely eaten the area, and I hadn't seen it again. But yeah, Buddleia globosa, I think that one's called. Just while I'll go out into the rain now, we'll risk it. And I'll show you the new area that we've created. And that is in this section here, which is the Trachycarpus that I moved, which was the main one that I had. In front of that again is one of the Viburnum Davidii. I've got to the right of that Canna Cleopatra, which goes with that again green and purple theme, which is my absolute favourite. Behind that I've got another Fatsia camouflage and another one of those enthusiasts, as you can see from the white flowers on that. At the back, growing up the trellis there, is Clematis armandii, which I've never had any luck with. The last one that I planted just disappeared, but this one is romping away. So in this new area here, it's got the Trachycarpus at the bottom, just to kind of cover the soil. And I am going to get rock for all this. I'm not leaving it like this. Again, as well, I've put another one of the colocasia black coral on the left-hand side. Either side now as well, I planted those Astilias, that Westland nervosa. I know those get about 1 metre in either direction, but this, I kind of do want it all growing over each other. I've got one of the Akubas at the back, which is February Star, and I've been watching Tiki Tropical's video on those A to Z. On the A one, he's added about 10 plants to my list. I didn't realise there was so many Akubas, so I'm going to get some more for the garden as well. But I'm pretty happy with it now because the heuchera on the right hand side has come back, so this area should kind of take off. I'm sure there's probably mistakes that you spotted as we're going around, but yeah, pretty happy with what I've achieved so far. And then quickly to round off the tour, I'm going to do a video shortly that's talking about the middle ground of the garden, the kind of middle height. So after your plants have romped away, for example the Musa basjoo, you're left with an awful lot of space between the ground cover and the canopy. So I'm going to have a couple of collaborators on that one to discuss what we can do with those areas. But for now, I've got some beautiful examples in here. The Persicaria has done really well for me, and obviously depending on the canopy height, that'd be a good shout. Some Mahonias and some other bits and bobs kind of cover that. But this area here, though it does look a bit bare, it's one of the things I've learned, which I've got pink china yet to come up. The Hedechium's going to look big. There's Anthodecia take over. So sometimes when you look at these spaces, they're not actually spaces. So I'm going to hold back and then just kind of see what else I can put in this garden. If you've got any suggestions whatsoever, always put them in the comments. Doesn't always mean I'm going to go with them, because obviously money is not limitless at the moment. But feel free to put them in there so we can have a little shout of things that you think would be good. I definitely want to add some more canopy areas. But I'm potentially going to a garden tour to discuss that very point of things that I can add to add more privacy to my garden. So hopefully you've liked the quick garden tour. It was a bit of a tale of two halves there, with it being absolutely glorious weather and then me needing to run in to put a coat on. Thankfully I escaped. I don't think I even got a drop on because I heard it go before I had a little bit of a crack, and I thought, here we go. But these are some of the monster plants that I've got. Again, as I said, I've been doing it for a couple of years now, probably 5 years in total. I've changed the garden so many times within that to change. The first year I went really heavy on the tender plants and I was digging up a lot of the garden. And over the last couple of years I've been trying to bring back the evergreen backbone on that, so the garden doesn't look dead half the year, because half of it's hiding in the greenhouse. I've ordered a load of seed as well, so those of you that watch the channel to do the seed grow alongs, I haven't forgotten about you. And I've got loads coming. I'm going to do them individual plants as well, so I can rattle through those as well. But again, don't forget to subscribe, because it really motivates me to crack on making these videos. And don't forget to like the video. If you've got any questions as well, don't forget to put them in the comments. But other than that, thanks for watching.